The meeting will come to order. The following matters will come before the License Commission today at our regularly scheduled meeting. Before that, though, we'd like to have the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The first items that we'll take up are applications submitted for consideration. Item number 1, 306 Revere Street, LLC, DBA D'Amelio's Restaurant, 306 Revere Street. Antonetta D'Amelio is the manager. This is an application for a transfer of an all-alcohol restaurant license. The license is to be transferred from Off the Boat, Inc. to 306 Revere Street, LLC. The said license will be exercised at the same address, and all operations are to remain the same. Is there someone speaking on behalf of 306? Take your time. We have plenty of time. If you just turn on the microphone and be sure to speak right into it, please.
Okay, thank you. My name is Antonetta D'Amelio from 306 Revere Street, LLC. Resident address is 67 Byron Street, East Boston, Mass.
What are your plans for this alcohol license?
We're just going to stay the same. It's a restaurant, sit-down restaurant. The hours are going to stay the same. Nothing's changing except that the corporation changed.
Do any of my fellow commissioners have any questions?
Were we still waiting to finalize some paperwork? Is that what we're waiting for?
Refinancing, yes.
For the refinancing?
That actually got detained a week because we actually had to wait for a payoff on the old bank to give us a payoff with the interest accrued. So we actually got the payoff, and now we're scheduled to actually do the closing either today or tomorrow.
Okay, and then you'll settle up all,
Yes.
anything that's outstanding at the time?
Yes, correct.
Okay,
Most of it's actually been already taken care of. There's just some water bill, I believe, and some taxes for the city of Revere.
right.
but
So how soon do you think you'll be able to settle that up? Because usually when we renew a license, it's, we like that paid full.
It definitely by the
Yep.
end of the year. I mean, as soon as the closing will happen either today or tomorrow, once the funds are there and available, we'll take care of that.
Okay, and we'll be notified when it's paid, so we would expect it to be paid. You're saying by the first of the year?
Definitely, yes.
Okay, just because, you know, I would gladly vote for this, saying that they are going to be paid
They will be paid, yes.
in this year. Okay, I understand it takes times, but, you know, we do have our rules to go by also.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. I have
You're
no other
welcome.
questions.
I don't have any questions.
Very good. I would be inclined to vote for this. However, I would think in order to protect the city, I'd like to do that in a provisionally, which is transfer would be approved for a 60-day period, and to give you time to make the payments, and then at that point, you could come back, and we would grant you the rest of the year. I don't know how my fellow commissioners feel about that, but that would be something that I'd like to put for a motion.
Is that a form of a motion?
Yes.
Yes, I would have to agree with that, just because the standard here is we don't renew licenses with any outstanding fees. So if that is a form in the motion, and Commissioner LaCroix has nothing to add to that,
I have nothing to add.
I would second Commissioner Solovich's motion.
Well, that motion would be approved, and so just so you're clear, the motion is that the transfer is approved for a 60-day period, and that 60-day period would allow you to take care of those tax situations, and at that point, you could come back in our February meeting, and we would take another look at it.
Okay, no,
Very
not a
good.
problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Happy holidays.
Item number 2, Revere Lodge Loyal Order of Moose, 1272 470 Broadway. Wesley Clemens is the manager. This is an application for a change of officers and change of manager. The application of Revere Lodge Loyal Order of Moose 1272 for a change of manager to Joseph Sheffro from Wesley Clemens and a change of officers to reflect the new slate of club officers. Speaking on behalf of the Mooses,
Yes, my name is Joseph Sheffro. 18 Putnam Place, Winthrop, Mass.
very good. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're planning to do or what the change is about?
Well, obviously, Wesley's not here, so we have to, I'm the new governor, and I'd like to take over the liquor license if I could.
Do any of my fellow commissioners have any questions?
Well, I'm sure you're familiar with why there's been so many changes there. What changes have we put in place now?
Well, the changes that we put in place is a new board.
Is the new board? And do we
Because-
have a list of the new board members? Am I looking at that now? Treasury, yes, okay. So what are your hours going to be there?
We're looking for the same hours that we,
No, I'm saying you personally as manager.
as manager,
Yes,
11 to 2.
11 to
Yeah.
2,
Yes.
the whole day, so you won't be entertaining elsewhere.
I will,
You will, okay.
but we have entertainment, yes.
Well, I'm pleased to see that there's a change, and I'm hoping that the new officers do a little better job.
Well, we're trying very hard because we got stuck very
Right, I know
handsomely.
we've read the story, and that's really too bad, because it's a nice club,
Yes,
but, things really have to tighten up there.
absolutely, yes.
Okay, well, welcome aboard, and I'm
Thank
looking
you.
forward to better times at the most.
So am I.
Okay, thank you.
So, you're the new governor, is that what they call it?
Yes, yes.
Is that, is there any documents on that, or is that part of the package here?
We gave it,
What's in the package? Okay. All right, so that's just the transfer. You're the new governor, you're running the show, you're taking the
yes.
responsibility for the most part?
yes.
Okay. I guess no questions. I know a little bit about you and your business, and best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Hope it works out for you.
Mr. Sheffro, are you aware of the tax liability that the club has?
Yes, I am.
Are there plans in place to take care of that?
Yes, we have. We already made plans for payment plans on all our bills that we have. We all have payment plans for every one of them.
Have you made any schedule with the treasurer's office at this time?
Yes,
You have?
yeah, I'm pretty sure we have.
I don't know. I didn't receive anything that anyone has been to see the treasurer to make some kind of a payment plan. I mean, that I see. I don't know. Usually, he will give you some kind of plan, a commitment of payment.
If I have to, I'll go see him myself, if that's what it is.
Again, this board with outstanding
Yes,
taxes makes it very hard to transfer a license.
yes.
So I know Commissioner Sullivan had made a motion on the last applicant, and, I think something would have to be done before approval, but I'd like to hear from my board.
Well, there is a payment schedule. Is it 1320? Is that what they owe?
No, I think this is for meals tax.
Oh, that's the
I don't-
I can't.
No, there's no schedule, and we haven't been
Okay, so
notified.
there's no schedule on that. How much is owed? Does anyone-
Mr. Sheffro, I think we would approve this in a similar fashion that we did for the last person, which is
Okay.
we would give you a period of time to make good on these
Yes.
tax liabilities, and at that point, we would approve the license. Do you know how much time approximately you would need for this?
We're so far behind right now, it's like we're trying to scrape everything we can to pay everything.
I think if you sat down with the treasurer's office and
Yeah.
we got an approval from them.
Okay.
That you are making payments and that they're in agreement to it.
Okay, good. Could I do that today?
You can, they're on this floor,
It's on this floor, yeah? Okay.
yes.
I'll do that.
But again, are you making a motion? the
Yes,
same
what I
as-
would do is I'd make a similar motion that we would grant this for 60 days,
Okay,
and then, which would give you an opportunity to make the schedule
yes.
and make arrangements to get this thing done.
Okay, thank you.
All right?
Thank you very much.
So the motion would be to approve the transfer of officers and change of manager for 60 days.
Yep.
With the proviso that you're going to come back in our February meeting,
Okay,
and we will take it up again.
all right, thank you.
Do I have a second on that motion?
I'll second the motion.
Okay.
The motion is approved. The application for a change of officers and change of manager for the Revere Lodge Loyal Order of Moose, 1272, has been approved for a period of 60 days. And then you will come back at our February meeting, and we will discuss it again.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir.
All right, thank you.
Well, unfortunately, the meeting closed a little quicker than I thought. Can you just hold on 1 minute? I'm sorry. Here I'm reading. They've not submitted a license for required proof of inspection and liquor liability insurance. I'm
I
sorry,
think-
didn't, did we get the liquor license insurance for the most? Yes, they did. Oh, we got it today. I'm sorry. We did receive it today. The proof of insurance, liability
Yeah.
insurance at the club.
Yes,
Oh, so I guess you brought it today.
yes,
All right, I didn't get a
That was this
copy of that
morning.
yet because I was running a little late myself.
that's okay.
But I think other than that, everything else was in order on this license. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Item number 3, H&R Partners, Inc., DBA Valsos Table and Bar at 139-141 Shirley Avenue. Alexander Herrera is the manager. This is an application for a transfer of a common victualer's license and a new malt wine restaurant license. The application of HR Partners, Inc., DBA Valsos Table and Bar, for a transfer of a common victualer's license from Argana Cafe Corp. and for a new malt and wine restaurant license to be exercised at 139-141 Shirley Avenue. The requested hours of operation are Sunday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 2 a.m. Requested seating is 47, and the requested entertainment is a TV and radio. Speaking on behalf of the applicant, your name and address for the record, please, sir?
My name is Lee Rasich of 1 State Street, Boston. I'm here as counsel to and on behalf of the applicant. Good afternoon, Chairman, Commissioners, Lieutenant, and Madam Clerk.
Thank you very much. Can you just explain a little bit about what your clients plan to do here?
Yes, surely. This is in connection with the purchase of an existing restaurant that did not have a liquor license located at 139-141 Shirley Avenue. The former restaurant was called Argana Cafe. Argana's attorney, Mr. Stephen Murray, is here with us today if you have any questions about the transfer. My client is the applicant, which is H&R Partners, Inc., doing business as Valsos Table and Bar. The word Valsos comes from a combination of the letters of the daughters' names of my clients. Anyway, they seek to open a revamped restaurant there. And it will have international cuisine, focusing in particular on Italian dishes, but also featuring some South American plates and some Spanish plates, for example. We are here to transfer the CV license, hopefully, and to apply for an all-alcohol on-premises license to be added to the restaurant in order to make it competitive with other restaurants, both on Shirley Avenue and elsewhere around the area. We are very excited to be here. This is Alexander Herrera. He is the 50% shareholder and director of the corporation applicant. He has been in the restaurant industry since approximately 2007. You all might recognize him from Antonia's restaurant, where he was the head chef for approximately 7 or 8 years. He has now moved over to Chestnut Hill, where he is an executive chef. To my right, your left, is Carolina Revias. She is the other 50% shareholder of the corporation applicant. She has some restaurant management experience from when she graduated in college, and she is currently in sales and marketing for health insurance in Massachusetts. The day-to-day operations of the restaurant we propose would be run by Alex. He is prepared to resign from his position in Chestnut Hill and devote his full-time attention to Valsos. Valsos itself, we have submitted the plans from the architect. The architect is here today. It is intended to feature a large dining room. It's all one level. In the front of the restaurant, there will be approximately 12 tables and approximately 12 seats at the bar, and there may be 3 or 4 seats at a counter in front of the window. The bar is, we propose to have 2 TVs in the bar, hence the application for the entertainment license, and then just your standard radio to play music throughout the dining room. If you have any questions, we're happy to answer anything that we can.
I do recognize you from Renzo's, okay. What time? Antonia's, I'm sorry. I have Renzo's on my head because the last party was from Renzo's. What time will your kitchen be open till?
Around 11 a.m.
11 a.m.?
11, correct.
So I see you have the license you want till 2 o'clock.
Correct. But the food will be like until around 11, 12 midnight. Same idea as Antonia's before. The kitchen will run till around 12, 12:30.
Okay. And the only entertainment you're going to have there are the televisions, is that what you're saying?
That is correct.
That's it? There's going to be no band or?
No, we're not applying for that, no. We're not intending to have it like other type of entertainments.
So we just, because I'm just curious why you would want to stay up until 2 o'clock, a 2 o'clock license, and closing at 11. The dining room will be closed at 11.
11 during the week and weekends around midnight. Like we plan to keep it open like Fridays, Saturdays, and depends on the business on Sundays until midnight for the dining room.
Okay. Whereabouts is this on Shirley Ave? Like in the middle, the end? I'm not too familiar with that area.
The parking lot from the public parking lot that is in there from City Hall. It's a big parking lot in there with resident stickers or resident permit use.
Okay.
And it's like a convenience store on the other side of the park. So
Okay.
it's the convenience store and we are on the other side of the park,
All
basically.
right.
Yeah.
So there's no parking there? Just the resident parking lot there?
Yes, it's a public parking from the city, like the space right there, and then street parking from public parking, yes.
Okay. I'm just not that familiar with that end of Shirley Ave.
The property itself does not have its own public parking, but there is a public lot next door.
Right.
So it's an attractive location for that reason.
Yes. No, he really doesn't need parking because he's on a main strip there. So I was just curious if there was anything in that area. So it is near the municipal parking lot?
Correct.
It is, okay. That's all the questions I have.
Commissioner LaCroix, do you have any questions?
So the bar is, how many seats at the bar?
I believe there are 12 seats at the bar that runs down the left-hand side as you walk in.
Okay. So it's a sit-down restaurant. Yeah, it's going to be a restaurant. What is it right now? What's the current?
Perhaps Attorney Murray can speak to this, but my understanding is that it was more cafe style before. I'm not sure that it had table service even. If you walk in, there are large food counters. You go up and you order what you want out of the counter.
So basically, it's going to be full table service.
And this will just be a traditional restaurant.
Correct.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. I'm okay right now.
Okay, well, I have no further questions, so thank you very much. Is there a motion to approve this, or do you need?
Linda, you have any more?
Well, I have no problem approving the new beer and wine and the transfer. What will your hours be? You're going to be the manager,
Correct.
and what will your hours be on the premises?
I will be basically working full-time there, being charged the same thing I used to do at Antonio's, be there day and night,
Okay,
running.
so you're not going to be in Boston anymore, you're just going to be at this location?
That is correct. I got to resign from my other place in Chestnut Hill.
I can speak to that as well. Mr. Herrera has an ownership interest in a North End restaurant, and I represented him in his restaurant in that capacity as well, so I've known him for several years now. We have changed the manager at that North End restaurant from Alex to another individual. That happened earlier this, maybe spring of 18. And so right now, he's full-time in Chestnut Hill. He will resign that position if this goes through and work full-time here, which he's looking forward to, being from East Boston.
That is correct.
Okay,
Easier commute for him.
and everyone will be tip certified at the bar?
That is correct. Absolutely, yes.
Are you tip certified?
Yes.
You are,
Yes.
And safe
It
service.
says safe too as well, yeah.
okay.
So you have, you want the license till 2 AM, but your kitchen's gonna close at 11 or 12, depending on the day, correct?
Correct.
So
That is
what-
correct.
So those 2 hours is just, you just want the 2 AM just in case someone hangs around, or is it?
Correct. We plan to have like some tapas at the bar, just in case someone like wants to pass by and eat like an appetizer or quick bite. So we'll keep the kitchen open like for tapas or like the small appetizers.
Okay, okay.
And also, I would add that I believe there are approximately 4 licensed establishments on Shirley Ave already. It's a short street, and I believe 2 of them are 2 AM as well, so to stay
Yeah,
competitive
yeah.
with those.
My thinking is, you know, usually people, when they hang around for drinks, it's more than just beer and wine, they're looking for a drink. And again, everybody's different, but I was just wondering, if the kitchen closes at 11, that's 3 hours of, people, you know, your worker's gonna stay around, are they gonna sit at the bar and drink? But if you're gonna serve food there.
Correct.
But you'll have you'll have a small menu at the bar.
That is correct.
Till 2.
Correct.
Okay, gotcha.
One last question. I see all the graphics on the windows. It does say pre-opening. Those graphics will be coming down when you open.
That is correct.
Okay.
That is correct,
Because you
absolutely.
can't have the windows blocked.
We
Well,
know
you know
that.
that from saying.
No, we know that. We were told that by the city hall that we gotta take that out away from there, yeah. We'll do
Yes,
that,
so
yeah.
you'll be taking those down.
Correct, that is correct.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you for answering the questions. I don't have any other questions, and I don't have a problem approving this, so I'll make a motion to
One
approve.
last question.
Excuse me, we have one last question.
So the residents, are they butting your building? Is there residents butting the building physically? Because I see a building next to you guys, and I'm not sure if that's right next to you or behind.
I believe on the west side of the building, there is a triple decker, is that correct?
I think so.
So there's residents right there. Okay. Yeah, because the concern is, you know, people come out 1:30, you know, people do make noise. So it's, you know, it's always a concern about that, especially when you have residents that close. So I just want to get my other colleagues aware of that, if you haven't already been. Just wanted to point that out.
That is, but it's a good thing to point out that that whole area, I don't think wherever we put a license is highly residential. It's just the way it's like, it's kind of like Broadway. We have all the business, and we have homes behind them.
Correct.
And that's his responsibility to make sure that, you know, we respect the neighbors in the area.
Absolutely, absolutely. That will be my job to make sure that we don't bother the neighbors, absolutely, yeah.
Right.
And if I may, I would add that this does appear to have some support of the community. There are some individuals here today who are happy to speak if the commission would like so. And then also the Economic Development Office of Revere has agreed to contribute a small amount for the build-out as well. So they're behind this as well, which is exciting.
Well, that's good. We like everyone involved. It helps us out.
Okay, very good. Well, I forgot to do one portion of the meeting that I need to do, which is, we'll close this section of the information, And we will ask if there are any proponents out there. Is there anybody that wants to speak on behalf of this license?
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Your name and address for the record, please.
Deputy Chief Paul Cheever from Revere Fire. The gentleman here, we had some issues with this property with the prior occupant. So looking at his floor plans, he's already come in to see us, and we've seen his floor plans. We're looking forward to this. He's going to clear up back part of this restaurant and bring it back part of the parcel and bring it in as part of his restaurant. So he knows he has to update his fire alarm system. We like what he's doing as far as how his floor layout is, and he's going to solve some other issues that we have on the back side of that piece of land right there, so.
Very good. Thank you, Chief. Your name and address for the record, please, sir?
Yes, Gary Ferragamo, 100 Whitten Avenue, Revere. I'd like to just say a few words about Mr. Herrera. We were partners at Antonia's for a couple of years. I was fortunate enough to work with Alex there. And on a personal and professional level, I have to say he is one of the hardest working, honest and ethical people that you can find in a restaurant business. And that's saying a lot. Anything the city has ever required or requested of Mr. Herrera, he always took care of it as quickly and expeditiously as possible. So on my personal and professional reference of him, the city of Revere would be happy and lucky to have someone of his stature to run a restaurant here.
Thank you very much, sir. Are there any other proponents out there? Hearing and seeing none, I'll close that part of the hearing. Are there any opponents? Is there anyone opposed to this license? Hearing and seeing none, I'll close that section. I'll make a motion that we approve this application for transfer of the common viculars license and the application for a new malt and wine restaurant license.
I'll second the motion.
The motion is approved. The application for a transfer of a common victualers license from Argana Cafe Corporation and for a new malt wine restaurant license to be exercised at 139, 141 Shirley Avenue is approved. The requested hours of operation are Sunday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 2 a.m. The requested seating is 47, and the requested entertainment is TV and radio. Thank you very much. Your license is approved. That concludes the applications. The next item is a hearing. Kenneth G. LaFosse, DBA Brothers Auto Body, 19 Naples Road. Ken G. LaFosse, manager. This is into a hearing into violations of Class 2 motor vehicle dealer license stemming from fraud convictions. And this is continued from the October meeting. Your name and address for the record, please, Counselor.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, James Cipolletta, 385 Broadway, Revere, on behalf of the licensee, Mr. LaFosse. Good afternoon.
Is there someone, anybody else would like to speak on this?
Well, Commissioner, before then, I'd like him to do a little summary of what he's doing, and then...
Good afternoon, members of the board. My name is Trooper Matt Heafy with the Mass State Police Salvage Title Section, and Trooper Luis with the Mass State Police Motor Vehicle Regulatory Section.
Thank you, Trooper.
If you have any questions on, we forwarded the information to Maggie Sullivan's office prior to the hearing.
Yes,
So
we will
if you
have some questions in a moment, but first I'd like to hear from the attorney, and we'll get back to you in a moment. And I see the Deputy Chief is here also. Attorney Cipolletta, can you just summarize for us what your position here is on this?
Yes, sir, thank you. 2 points that I believe are very important to note right up front of the hearing is, number one, the conviction that entered in Chelsea District Court is the subject of an appeal. Appeal is pending, it will be heard by the justices of the Massachusetts Appeals Court. Secondly, and parenthetically, thank you for accommodating my schedule last month. I was not able to be here for being in federal court, so I appreciate your continuing that. The second important issue is that even if everything that is in the report and everything that is testified, and I'm anticipating that the troopers are going to testify to, is true, it has nothing to do with Mr. LaFauci's sale of used automobiles. You have the charging papers in your packet. You know what the criminal complaints were. You know what the disposition was. And you know what the follow-on conditions were that were imposed by the court. It doesn't appear from my reading, and I didn't represent Mr. LaFauci at the criminal trial, but from what I was reading, I didn't see anything that would implicate his license to sell used motor vehicles. My understanding of the reading, and I'm sure the troopers will correct this if I'm wrong, is that there were two motor vehicles, both of which were Cadillacs. One was 1 year and another one was a year older. And Mr. LaFauci was putting them together and applying for a title, a salvage title. He brought them for inspection. State police took a look at it. We're not happy with the parts that were on one that were moved to another Cadillac. But that Cadillac was never for sale. That Cadillac's being driven by his wife. So it was a little bit of a surprise when I saw the notice to appear for a show cause hearing to show why his Class 2 license shouldn't be suspended, altered, or revoked, because it had nothing to do with that. There may be some other things that are implicated and other things that may be down the road, depending on what the appeals court does with his appeal, might be appropriate, but I don't see that as germane to today's proceeding. The other, and I'm aware of this, and I spoke to counsel for the city today with regard to some of the outstanding issues for 40U tickets. Those are all under appeal. Those will be heard by the hearings officer on 10 January 2019. It looks like whatever situation gave rise to all or most of those has been rectified. I understand it is a matter of health and safety. It could be a fire code. I'll let Deputy Chief Cheever address you as to that. But I can assure the board that it looks like that matter is about to be resolved as well. So that should not be an impediment to the renewal of any licenses that Mr. LaFauci has. Beyond that, I don't want to say too much since the matter is under appeal. I don't want to go take a deep dive into the facts. You have the reports, and I can answer any questions that the board has, and maybe elucidate the board as to our position as to why this is, number one, premature, and number two, irrelevant to the license. But perhaps I can do that after the troopers let the board know their position.
Thank you, Counselor. Do any of my fellow commissioners have any questions for the attorney?
I'd like to hear from all the officers. I mean, I do have a couple of questions. If you want to answer them first, I don't know if, we're talking about two Cadillacs and the wife. Did the wife purchase the car from him? Or was
No.
it just repaired and given to her? Was there a purchase?
No, he still owns it. She's driving it.
Okay, so there was no purchase
No.
of that car? Okay. So I'm just, that's why I'm looking forward to listening to what the officers have to say, because, you know, we're talking a junk car license or a Class 2 license. Junkyard was, a junkyard license, area has to be designated by the city council if it was being used for junk
No, I
cars.
think this, and I have full faith in the knowledge of the troopers have of the CMRs. Again, I didn't take the deep dive into the CMRs to do the criminal case, but what I understand is that if you come into possession of some cars that are badly damaged, and you want to make sure that they are safe to be put back on the road, registered and titled, you have to bring them to the state police or some designated area. They will examine them, make sure there are no stolen parts on them, make sure that the parts are in operable order, make sure that they're safe to redesignate to be on the highway. And I think that's what he did. In some cases, these cars presumably get sold down the line, especially in cases I would suspect of where parts are readily swappable, or you can purchase parts as replacements and so forth. I think what the allegations were in the criminal complaint have to do with altering or removing vehicle identification numbers and making a false statement. I'm not sure what the false statement was on the application. But again, this didn't have anything to do with his sale or offering for sale any motor vehicle under the auspices of the license issued by the City of Revere.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. If I could hear from the troopers now, that would be helpful.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon,
I'm
Trooper.
Charles Luis, Trooper with the Mass State Police. I've been a police officer for 27 years. The last 2.5 years, I've been assigned to the Vehicle Services Section, which deals with dealer plates or used car dealers and used car repairers. It's kind of two separate cases we have going on. I did my first investigation on March 16, 2016, 17? No, I'm sorry, June 19, 2017, based on a complaint prior to the court action. During that time, I submitted a report to Section 5, which deals with dealer plates, and also to the licensing with numerous violations of the used car license and of the dealer plate violations. 3 months later or so, he had his hearing. He was told to become compliant. I went back and did a follow-up inspection. He complied with almost everything. There was a couple of things that still needed to be fixed. And prior to one of these hearings, I went out there again to do a spot check. And except for having vehicles on display, today he's in compliance with his used car license. He did have some egregious violations prior to, but except for having two cars on display, I've never seen that in 2 years driving by there, and which I do almost every day. And he assured me he's working on cleaning up the lot, and eventually we'll have cars out there. The Cadillac, in order to use a dealer plate on that Cadillac, the vehicle has to be held for sale, has to be in his used car record book, has to display his used car warranty stickers and his lemon law stickers on the window, then his wife can use that vehicle. And I have never seen the vehicle, so I don't know if that is the case with the Cadillac.
Good afternoon, Trooper Matt Heafy, Mass State Police. I've been a police officer for 21 years. I've been assigned salvage title section 3.5 years now. And do you have any questions for me? If you
Well,
go through the report.
I guess for both of you gentlemen, what violations were particularly found? I mean, you said that there were violations of the used car license statute.
So on my initial spot check, you want the chapter and section just with it?
No, that's fine.
Okay. Failure to maintain a used car record book, unable to examine the books, papers, and inventories, not substantially engaged in business, failure to post the hours, failure to know if there were any vehicles even in the inventory, failure to maintain log of the Section 5 plates, and then a side note was why he would need 4 dealer plates if they weren't doing a lot of sales. To maintain the used car record book and unable to examine the books was the titles, I think, at the time, which we call those showstoppers. Some things you can fix on the spot, post the hours, not a big deal. Unable to examine your books, papers, inventories, or improper used car record book is bad.
Thank you, Trooper. Trooper, from your perspective, what are the problems with this particular operation?
Well, for anybody to purchase a salvage vehicle at auction, actually in all 50 states, you need a used car dealer's license. You or I, as individuals, we cannot go into an auction and purchase a salvage vehicle. So you need to be, first and foremost, a used car dealer to purchase these vehicles from auction. Both of these vehicles, the Cadillac Escalades were both salvage vehicles. Both were heavily damaged. And as an individual, you'd need a dealer's license, like I said, to even purchase these vehicles. In regards to what council said, the wife driving the vehicle, if it still remains a salvage vehicle, they cannot be driven, they cannot be registered or insured with passenger plates. If he's using a dealer plate, it's not essentially what the dealer or repair plate was actually for.
I see. Okay, thank you. Do any of my fellow commissioners have any questions?
I don't have any questions. I'm kind of in between here.
I
So
know it's a
can
very
you
lengthy
just-
report.
Can you just tell me, what is the serious part of this violation? I know we had problems when it went to court and they felt,
Yes,
what he did
well,
was wrong. But what is the most serious violation
Well,
that we're
it's-
dealing with?
It's actually a felony when you start stripping the vehicle identification numbers off a car, whether you remove them completely, alter them, or put a fake one on. It's under Massachusetts statute, it's actually a felony. On the vehicle that came in, one was obliterated, one was completely removed, and the other identification points in the vehicle pointed to a different vehicle. So what happened was initially a vehicle came in for inspection, and the paperwork of the vehicle is for a 2013 Cadillac Escalade. And on the paperwork, the 2011 Escalade was used, that was also a salvage vehicle, and it was stripped for parts. Now, doing the inspection, I noticed several inconsistencies from the paperwork and from the actual vehicle. And then through further investigation, it was determined the vehicle was actually a 2011 and not a 2013. Now you'd ask, why would somebody alter a vehicle identification? Well, if you go on in Kelly Blue Book or NADA, you look what car value is, the difference between a 2011 and a 2013 Escalade is about $4,000 or $5,000 difference. So there's
Okay,
that
so
issue.
I'm kind of following you now. Okay. Did he do this with one vehicle, or do we have more vehicles involved?
On this, that the vehicle identification numbers were stripped, was just this vehicle.
It was that vehicle?
Yes.
And supposedly
Well,
it's still
both
around?
vehicles, if you count the
wife- right.
parts car.
2011, 2013, so
Right.
are these two vehicles still
I
around?
do not know the whereabouts or the status of these vehicles during this investigation. One was out of Texas, one was out of New Hampshire. The Department of Motor Vehicles for both states put holds on those titles. So when the hold was put on the title, they cannot be transferred, they cannot be sold until the court case was dealt with. That was all done. I'm not sure if the courts released that, if the registry in Texas or New Hampshire released the title. I'm not sure. They have all the records at Suffolk County District Attorney's Office.
Okay. And you've been watching this since 2016, this particular,
It's been a while. It took probably over a year to go to trial.
okay.
Offense date was May 15th, 2017.
Yeah, I'm just concerned through the council if he knows if these two vehicles are still out there or where they ended up. The wife still has it, or? Oh, okay, so they're still here. So I'm just trying to get it down for myself. So mainly what we're talking about is really changing numbers on the car, vehicle identifications.
Yes, altering the vehicle
So basically,
identification
that's what
numbers.
I'm down to now?
Concealing the ID, basically fraud. It's,
Okay, I get that now.
And the vehicle shouldn't be driven with the dealer plate because it hasn't passed the salvage inspection.
Okay,
But his license, like I said, last check was he's in compliance with his license except for having spot for two vehicles out front.
okay. And how long has that been that he's been doing the right thing there with the just the two cars?
The last, well, he has no cars out front, but the last spot check was September 19th of 2018, where his book was up to date.
It was? Okay. All right. Thank you very much. It was very helpful.
Thank you, troopers, I appreciate your time. Deputy Cheever?
Hello again, Deputy Chief Paul Cheever, Revere Fire, Head of Fire Prevention. I'm going to give a quick little summary. My first encounter with Mr. LaFosse was when I got called from the Insurance Fraud Bureau about a vehicle that was worked on in the property for an unlicensed body shop. Come to find out, Mr. LaFosse was renting to Warren's Auto Body in the basement of his property. Warren's Auto Body was an unlicensed repair shop. So went there with the building inspector and we did an inspection of the property, at which time we discussed the discontinuance of the operation of Warren's Auto Body. Mr. LaFosse agreed to that and said that he would extend his business into the basement and basically take over the whole building. At that point, we went through some other issues with adjacent properties, which I'll go over, and I ordered him to bring the place up to code where he's going to expand the business. He had existing suppression systems in his spray booths, which were not being maintained. So I ordered him to now install a fire alarm system to monitor the building and those 2 spray booths. At that point, we also discussed the fact that he's using the Clear Channel property across the street for vehicles in different stages of repair that are being parked out there in plain sight. He also said that's where he's using that property also to display his vehicles for sale. Speaking with Clear Channel, he does not have permission to use that property, and it's not part of his license to use that property, the way I understand it. Speaking with Clear Channel, they've told me they've put barriers up and done other various things to try to keep him from using that property, and the barriers disappear and the cars show up again. The other property in question, which to me, he has a Class 2, the way the business is operating, in my opinion, is more of a Class 3. He's using the lot he owns next to 453 American Legion Highway to store vehicles at different stages of repair or just junk vehicles. So that property is being used, which is not licensed for that type of storage. So between that, the Clear Channel, and then his property at 16 Naples, he's running, in my opinion, a Class 3 operation, not a Class 2 operation. It's not just an auto body repair where he's selling a few vehicles. He's been ordered to stop using the Clear Channel property. He's been ordered to stop using his parcel next to 453 for vehicle storage. That's in the order of the correct that was written back in November of 2016. At that point, at various times within the next few months, he had an alarm company come into my office to try to obtain a permit to do the installation of the fire alarm system. The installation documents that the gentleman was putting forward were lacking. I rejected them on several occasions, redlined them, gave them back to him, and then at that point, a few months later, at that point, I said, "You've demonstrated to me that you can't do a submittal for this project. You need to engage someone to assist you with the submittal." He has a license, so he's licensed to do the work. He can't meet the Massachusetts Building Code requirements for the submittal. At that point, I was accused of telling Mr. LaFosse and others to use certain people. That was never spoken from my mouth and never will be spoken from my mouth or from my office. What it is you have to meet the code requirements. If you can't meet the code requirements, you can't get a permit to do the work. Just this past few months, Mr. LaFosse's son came in to bring those plans forward again. They have a lawyer, so all the communication's going through the lawyer. This property's been turned over to safe housing because of the lack of conforming to the order of the correct. So that's where the 40U fines are coming in. The plans that come in just a few months ago come in from a licensed professional engineer. I've redlined them again as well. He has some comments on that need to be addressed, which we agreed would be addressed in the field during the installation. So at this point, he does have a permit that's been issued from my office to install the fire alarm system. However, the city's lawyer has requested on several occasions to go in and do a full inspection. And the reason for the full inspection is because he has blocked egresses, auto parts all over the property, and he has 2 suppression systems, and he has paint everywhere. He has no permits for storage through my office. He has paint that's out in various locations that's supposed to be in lockups or in a suppression system as well. So these other issues are not in conformance. Those are marked up on his fire alarm plans that they also need to be addressed.
Thank you, Deputy Chief. Do any of my fellow commissioners have any questions?
I mean, does he seem like he wants to work with us at all in cleaning up down there?
Well, I'll make a comment on that. He used to own 453 American Legion Highway. We refused to give him a conformance inspection on that property until he vacated the lot next door, which to me was an immediate hazard to anyone who lives at 453. We did have a fire at 453 at one time, and the fact that the lot next door is overflowing with vehicles makes it difficult for us to get access to that property. He cleared that lot out in order to get his conformance inspection. We gave him the paperwork, the compliance inspection that he needed to transfer that property, and immediately he put the cars back in the lot next door. So,
Well, it seems like the city was trying to work with them as much as they could, trying to direct them in the right direction. That's all I have to say right now. I'll speak to
I'll
his
add, he
attorney.
has an appeal into the 40U tickets for 16 Naples. Next Safe Housing Task Force, his property on Naples, between the parcel is going to be referred to Safe House, and he's going to begin getting ticketing on that property, as well as Clear Channel is going to begin getting ticket on their property due to his use. So that's in the next Safe Housing Task Force.
Now, can I just ask you a question? I mean, I don't know if you would have the answer, but with Clear Channel,
Yep.
if they were to have them towed, is it at their expense or his expense?
They have to
Who would-
park, they have to, so that's the issue. Clear Channel has put barriers on the property which have been removed. So Clear Channel's kind of stepped away. So the only way I can get Clear Channel to actually come back to the table and start forcing conformance on their property is by ticketing them.
And they would have to pay, Clear Channel would have to pay
They
to,
would have to pay the 40U fines for misuse of the property, yes.
because this has been going on for years. This isn't new, Clear Channel,
Understood?
with the parking there. That's been for years. And I just don't understand why they're not stepping up and
Well,
just,
and that's how we're going to bring them back to the table through the 40U fines. You know, we have a hotel that's coming in down the end of Naples. Part of our response to that hotel is going to be using Naples Road. We have vehicles parked on both sides of Naples Road all the time that, again, are in various stages of repair. That's a public road. It's not Mario's or Ken LaFoss's road. It needs to be cleared.
right. Well, it's just, sometimes I just find that there's such easy answers and it's not done. You know, the city has a right to not let Clear Channel use their billboard unless they take care of their property. So I don't understand. Should have been taken care of a long time ago. It seems like an easy fix.
Yep.
Because I blame Clear Channel, actually, if he's not going to,
Well, I agree with that to a point, because Clear Channel's been contacted by my office a couple
Right.
times now about the use.
yeah, and I don't think you're the only one that's been contacting them. When you're making the bend there, and if all those cars are there, you can't see when you're making that turn going on the, was it Lynn Marsh Road or 1A, whatever it is. So, yeah, I'm a little upset with Clear Channel, because they could have corrected that a long time ago. But they did put the barriers, I will say that, but I guess we're not here about them,
No,
right? Thank you very much.
Yeah, so this is more, I'm kind of curious to hear from Mr. LaFosse or his counsel, not so much on the legal issues there, more about the violations that Deputy Chief Cheever brought up. And it's almost like you're living in your own little world over there, and you kind of just, this is my fiefdom, this is how I'm operating, and every so often they'll come in, slap your wrist, you'll say, okay, then you'll go back. So I'm kind of curious the mindset there, because I don't think these violations are not warranted, they seem valid, and he's done his homework, Mr. Chief, but very clear to me. So I'm kind of curious to have feedback on some of those violations, if you don't mind, give us a few minutes. Thank you.
Mr. Chief, did come in.
Name and
My name's Kenneth LaFosse, 44 Timber Lane, Topsail, Mass. I own Brothers Auto Body, 16 Naples Lane. I've been there for 32 years. Mr. Chivas did come in, and he said he wanted the fire alarm put in. He wanted, the place cleaned up, which I cleaned the place up. Been working on it. Called my fire alarm guy the day he came in. The guy came down. I got a set of plans. Give me the plans. I got a set of plans right here. Gave him the plans. 4 months later, He had the plans for 4 months. 4 months later, he says, these plans are on a piece of cardboard, they're unacceptable. It's okay. We submitted the plans again. My alarm company went down there, he come back there. This guy does Papagenos, he does all over the place. It's a huge, huge company. He didn't want to do it. They come down, he says, okay, if you use my guy from Saugus, which is right here, girl come down, you don't need no plans, they'll do it. She comes down, fire command. I went over everything with her, talked to her, felt her out. I said, okay, I'll buy the plans. How much for the plans? She goes, oh, no, I can't use the plans. You have to use my plans, you have to buy the material off of me, and I have to put it in. You know, I said, oh, she's good friends with him and all this stuff, so he's forcing me to use this company. So I approached him, I told him what the situation was, I called the state. The state says I do not have to put a fire alarm in the building unless I did more than 60% work. Unless I did renovated the building, I'm grandfathered in, I don't need a fire alarm in the building. I says, listen, I want to put a fire alarm in the building, which is no problem. I didn't own the building at the time, okay? I did everything in my power to talk to Mr. Chivas and do it. He's trying to force me to use these people, which isn't right, okay? I ended up calling him back. He went back 2 or 3 times, and he told me, listen, call the state, do whatever you got to do, because you don't need a fire alarm. He's trying to force you to do someone else uses his people. And that was the bottom line. And I never said nothing. I asked him. He said, you're getting fined $490 a day or $500 a day. They did nothing, okay, until I got in the little bit of problem I got in. The day I went there, that's when I started getting the tickets, okay? The day that these guys here knew where I was, that's when he came down and started giving me the tickets. I approached him 1,000 times. I have letters here to Attorney Fino. I wanted the documents, the numbers stating, the doc numbers stating why I need a fire alarm in the building. There's no answer. I went to his office 4 or 5 times, threw us out of there. I went where Lance Kelly tried to help me. I went a number of times, nothing, okay? I tried, this is back when he first told me, these are the plans, he says they're on a piece of cardboard. These plans are on a piece of cardboard, okay? All right, these are the plans that I submitted, all right, they're blueprints. Flew around, he said they're on a piece of cardboard, get out of here, all right? I have to use his people, all right? His alarm company from Saugus I had to use, okay, which I
Okay,
refused to
Mr.
do.
Fossey, I think that's something maybe we don't really, yeah, I really don't want to get into that. I just really
this
would
is
like.
what he's getting into.
And I understand,
And
but
then
I
the Clear
think.
Channel, in the Clear Channel parking lot, I park cars there during the day, I maintain the place, I own the house next door. When I went there was rats, there's holes, there's overgrown, I keep the place spotless clean. During the day, I park some cars up under the sign, which I got permission from Clear Channel. If I maintain the place, kept it clean, if you go there, the place is spotless. I put like.
I know your area, I'm not debating that, you know, I'm close
What
by
they're doing,
there,
you know.
and I see it, but if you have a license and you're licensed for X amount of area, you have to stay within your boundaries.
I
You
do
can't
stay in
just
the
put
boundary.
and
I own the lot
understand.
next door. I own the lot next door to the house, all right? I have 1619 Naples Road. That's 19 Naples Road. I can park my cars there. Years ago, I've been parking there for I don't know how many years.
I just don't want to get off of what we're here for.
I'm trying to explain to you what's
Yes,
going on
and
with the
I
parking. It's
understand.
coming, you know, what
I
I'm
do
doing here
understand.
is telling, you know, what's going on. I mean, I've been here for 32 years. All of a sudden, he comes in, and they're trying to put me out of business. I'm going to worry about a hotel going down the street. I mean, I got a business too. And on my street, right now, okay, there's my business, there's Mario's Towing, there's Valentine Dumpster, there's Best Busy Bee Disposal, all right? There's,
Well, like, again,
Infinity
I'm very,
Taxi Cab?
right, I'm very familiar with all that. I'd like to just stay
I
with
mean,
the
I'm
issue.
getting blamed for every car
but-
in the street.
But, you know, we're just trying to stay with your issue, and Naples Road, the only thing I think that the city's saying is it is Naples Road. People
Okay,
do
that's
use that
fine,
road.
and I'm trying to keep it
It is
clean.
residential, you know, if you go down there, it's residential.
I'm
so-
not the only business on the street. There's 9 businesses on the street.
And I know that. I'm just trying to get to your issue. Clearwater says one thing, and you're saying the other. They're
I
saying,
keep the place spotless clean. I've been parking under there for 32 years. I kept it, it was all trees, bushes, rats, everything. I graded the place off, I kept it clean, they put a sign up. I don't park there at night. During the day, I park cars, so keep them off the street. I keep the cars off the street. I try my best to keep them off the street.
Well, so so you've been,
Now, he
you've
wants me to
submitted your fire.
Get rid of them cars there. He wants me to get rid of the cars off the lot. I mean, what does he want me to do? Just go out of business? All of a sudden, just bang. It's called selective enforcement.
Well, can I ask you a question? You don't have to answer, but I'm ask you. There's a business next door to you, which is Mario's Towing.
Yes,
Is that your property?
no.
It's not your property? Okay. Because I noticed they close the gates, they do put everything inside, and,
And I do too.
yeah.
You go there at night, everything's inside. It's during the day, it's like
Okay,
any
so-
business. You got a restaurant, they park out in the street. At night, there's no cars in front of it. And what are you gonna do? That's part of doing business. Now they're gonna put a hotel up the street. I mean, what are they, you know, he's telling me there's gonna hotel, so what am I gonna do? Do I have to close my business, or are they trying to take my
No,
business? I
no,
don't
they're
know.
just saying it's a city street and people have to be able to use it.
I've been there for 32 years. The city never once swept the street, never once plowed the street. I maintain the street, I clean the street, I sweep the street, I do everything on the street, okay? The city never once, one time would have plowed, ever, ever.
I know your business well, and you know that, okay? I'm just going along with what
And just
everyone else
trying
has
put-
to.
I know what everyone
If the
else is, okay?
business-
It's, why don't you just look around the city? I keep the place as clean as I can. I mean, you know my circumstances now, I'm trying to get on my feet and everything else. And can I say one other thing about what's going on with,
As long as we're on this issue, okay, let's
Okay.
stay with what you were here for, what's on the agenda, okay?
Yep.
If it's a response to what the officer of the troopers have
it's to the
said,
state police here, Heppy, he was the one that came here a year and a half ago. He's been trying to get my license, my dealer's license. He was in front of the board before. He keeps harassing me. I get complaints into Boston with him, okay? I never changed the VIN number. I never took a number off the car. I bought the car and I told him that. The numbers were off the car when I bought it. I bought the car out of Utah. It was a Texas car that was sold in Texas to someone in Utah. I bought the car out of Utah. The numbers were never changed on the car, all right? I did put a dashboard in the car with a different number on it in the glove box, but if I changed the number in the glove box, he would charge me with changing numbers. Everything is documented, everything. I never changed the number. I've been 32 years. I'm not stupid, okay? I would never take a number or dismantle a number on a car, all right? He took my paperwork on May 15th, 2017, okay? Because every time he took my paperwork, I went to Quincy, told him what the situation was, and I got the titles. He found out I was doing what I was doing. I was going to his boss and rectifying it, and no problem. He was here before you, in front of you, before, okay? He took my paperwork this time, wouldn't give me it back. Forced me to get an attorney. That was in May. Nothing to charge me with. Back in August, after May, June, July, August, he charged me with falsifying paperwork and removal of a VIN, removal of a load sticker. A load sticker is when you open the door and it tells you how many pounds of pressure in a car, all right? That's a load sticker, all right? A year and a half later, I go to court and whatever. They found me, I had, my lawyer I had wasn't, he was an ex-state trooper. I never should have got him. It was a conflict of interest. There's a big problem, all right, with this. But
well, I think, I guess my concern here is, you know, you're here for renewal on your license.
Well, this is
When
what the
is your, when
situation
is your appeal?
I don't know.
To council, is there an appeal coming up?
Yes,
Did you
there is.
say?
Yes, the appeal was timely filed, and then it would go into the time scheduling of the appeals court, which will set a briefing schedule. They have not.
They haven't scheduled it yet. How long does it usually take for?
Well, the criminal cases take precedence, so it's a fairly aggressive briefing schedule, so I would expect that the first quarter of 2019 would be the appellant's brief, and then 30 days after that would be the appellee, the Commonwealth's brief.
Okay. Now, does your client, do you want to speak to your client, or are we ready for a fire alarm system there?
I think so, but I think that, from what I understand in talking to the city's legal counsel today, who's handling this matter, the way the system works logistically is for the company that installs the alarm and all of the appurtenances would then call for the inspection. I think would call the fire department for the inspection. And we don't get involved in that, and I don't think Kenny does. So they leave that between the professionals to do that and set a date where they can come down and do that. And it seems to me that in talking to those who know more about this than I do, that they're about ready to pull the trigger on that. Should happen fairly quickly. What's that? Oh, he has a permit. He has a permit, just to close it out on the inspection, yeah.
So he has the permit for the...
Right.
Everything is all set, they just got something with this compression system, they just had a hookup, which he did yesterday, and they just got to come down and finalize everything, get the
Okay.
inspection.
And you have the whole building now, so you have no tenants in your building?
No, I do have a tenant downstairs.
Oh, you still do? Please speak into the mic.
I do have a tenant downstairs. He's been down there, he's licensed, he's insured, he's everything.
Okay. So, I mean, what are your plans for cleaning up down there? Meaning your license is for certain parcel of land. Putting it on private property is illegal. You know that, Kenny.
That's all I do during the day. I back the cars up there during the day, take them off the street.
know.
I back the cars up there. At night, there's no cars there. I put them away at night. They're off the street. I got permission from Clear Channel. I keep the place, I maintain the place, I keep the place spotless clean. I mow it, I take the trash up. There's nothing there.
I have a couple of questions, Mr. LaFosse. The way I understand this, the VIN number of a vehicle was altered.
No, it wasn't altered. The VA number is on the vehicle, okay? You can ask him. The VA number for the 2013 is on the vehicle. It's not altered. The car was hit so hard, all right, the windshield scraped the VIN numbers. It's scratched, not altered. If you open the door, there's a load sticker on the car that's missing, all right? I bought the car out of Utah. There was never a load sticker on the car. That's a load sticker. Tells you how many pounds of pressure in the car and the tires, and there's a VA number on that. It's not there. It never was. The other car, the 2011, I have the 2011 and the 2013. I still have both cars. I asked him, why don't you go down and look at the 2011? He wouldn't. He took my paperwork. It made me wait 2.5 months before I ended up getting an attorney. That's when he charged me, after I got an attorney, for falsifying paperwork and removal of a load sticker. Nothing to do with changing VINs.
Well, the paperwork that was falsified, what are we talking about there?
Because he says I fixed a 2011 instead of a 13. So falsifying was I put 13 instead of 11, which it's not, it's a 13. But no one can understand what is going on.
Well, to be honest, I'm in that group because I don't really understand either.
What happened, I
So,
bought two cars, a 2011 and 2013. I used the parts from the 2011 on the 2013.
okay.
And everything was documented. But he's saying to me that I used too many parts of the 2011 on the 2013. But the way it works, whatever the body of the car is, that's what year the car is. And I used the 2013 body with the 2011 components. All right? The cars are the same from 2007 to 2014. The doors, everything are the same. So he's saying I used too many parts of the 2011 for the 13. So instead of, giving me a rejection and fixing it, he took my paperwork because he knew I was going to go into Boston and get it squared away. So instead of that, he put it under investigation and took my paperwork. He's been harassing me. He's been on there for 3.5 years. Every time I go down there, he rejects me. It's a joke. He's been here, and that's the bottom line.
Because what it appears, at least from what my understanding, was that you were trying to register a 2011 vehicle as a 2013.
No, it's not true. I have the 2011 and the 2013. I told Trooper, the 2011 is at the shop, go down and look at it. He refused. He just took my paperwork, and it was a joke. He held my paperwork for 2.5 months. He's been harassing me.
All right, thank you very much. Do you have any questions?
No.
Trooper, can you come up and kind of give us your perspective on what Mr. LaFosse had to say?
Absolutely, sir. He brought in this vehicle for salvage inspection, I believe it was, May 15th of 2017. During the inspection, I noticed several inconsistencies, that the vehicle numbers have been tampered with, obliterated, removed. In fact, it took a couple hours. I called the auction, and when I looked at the interior of one of the vehicles, it actually belonged to the 2011, not the 2013. As I saw these inconsistencies, now a felony was committed in my presence that it carries a warrantless arrest. He could have been arrested on the spot. I could have seized the car on the spot. I didn't. I held the paperwork, I gave him the benefit of the doubt, and I said, I'm going to need more information. So in the weeks that followed, I contacted NICB, who they specialize in secondary confidential secret numbers on vehicles. So I contacted this senior special agent at NICB. They're a federal agency that goes around throughout the country. They work with the insurance companies and everything. So through this, that more and more, it looked that I was initially right, that overwhelming evidence that this vehicle is a 2011, not a 2013. So giving him the benefit of the doubt, a few weeks went by, I talked to the senior special agent. He had located a couple of hidden numbers on the vehicle that the average person would have no idea what they mean. Actually, numbers that came off the factory, that certain parts on that vehicle, they could tell whether it was a 2011 or 2013. So with the previous attorney I contacted, scheduled an appointment to do a final inspection, to final determine if this vehicle is a 2011 or 2013. The day before that inspection, he called up and said, I don't want to have it inspected, I want my paperwork back. Why? Why would you do that? You'd have to ask yourself. The vehicles are worthless in their current conditions. Why would you cancel that final inspection if everything was true that he had said? Now, he's come forth, accused me of harassing him, which is untrue. I actually looked. I inspected 8 of his vehicles this year. 2 of those vehicles I rejected. One was a flood that he did absolutely nothing to. And he appealed that, went to the registry. The second, when, excuse me, I'm losing my voice. When he got out of jail, and probably about 5 days after, he brings in a brand-new Chevy pickup truck. He did all the work on the pickup truck, except he didn't replace the seatbelts. The appraisal report, the seatbelts were bad. That's a safety issue. He knows every dealer, individual body shop that comes in, if it's an airbag, seatbelt, you gotta replace it. He slammed the car doors, yelled, sweared, stripped the tires, left. Within hours, goes to the registry, complains to the registry. So the senior title advisor at the registry told him, hey, you gotta replace the seatbelts. He didn't like that. The next day, he comes back, speaks to the supervisor of the unit, accusing us of harassing him, I don't know, several, I don't even know. It's completely made up. But, you know, that's the type of aggressiveness, hostility that we faced with Brothers Auto over the last few years.
So from your perspective, was the VIN number altered so that you could resell the vehicle at a higher price? Is that what?
Yes, without a doubt. A 2-day trial, the judge determined that to be without a doubt. In fact, the appeal, I believe, counsel can correct me if I'm wrong, was poor representation. There was nothing on the facts of the case. So.
Very good, thank you. Does anyone else have any other questions?
The only question, there were a couple of allegations made by Mr. LaFosse regarding Deputy Chief Cheever, and I'd like to hear from Deputy Chief Cheever in his rebuttal against those allegations that he forced.
Well, I mean,
He was
good
trying to
company, I guess,
force.
because he's got allegations against the trooper, too.
Exactly. Yeah.
So the issue, well, first of all, I want to know how he has a tenant in his basement, which it's an auto body shop. So how is that business performing auto body work without a license? So 2 years ago when we discussed this, he said that he was no longer going to rent, and he was going to take that and make it part of his business. So he just admitted on record that he's still renting that, an unlicensed auto body shop. So here we go. So the way it works in the industry for fire alarm, there's a lot of guys out there who have a fire alarm license who can't necessarily meet the code requirements, can't do the drawings, can't do the riser diagrams. And the gentleman that he's using is one of them. He has a license. That's a nice piece of paper that they're actually on. The thing he brought in was more what you'd get for your kids to color on, just what he brought in was stiff cardboard. I'm like, I can't make this a record in the city. I can't do anything with this. Code requires them to be 1/8 scale drawings. He's supposed to give me a riser diagram of the fire alarm system, a full narrative of how the system works and how it operates, catalog cuts of all the different devices, calculations of line drop calculations of with the wiring type. So all these things, it's clearly in the code, it's bulleted in the code. It's called a Tier 2 submittal, okay? There are fire alarm company supply houses out there that say, hey, come to us, we can do that for you. We have that capability. You buy our product, you can still do the install. So the plans that were originally submitted from his alarm company were given to me in December 2016. I commented in January and rejected them. They were returned with the same original submittal date on me. I then went through them again and rejected them again on March 23rd of 2017. At that point, to try to provide them help, I said, look, you can go to, it's called Parts and Smarts. That's how the industry calls it. I said, you can go to this company over here, and I know they can do the Parts and Smarts for you. Trying to help him get through this. And so now I'm being accused of, saying, use my guy. Well, my guy doesn't do the install. My guy actually helps him do the paperwork end of it that they can't get done. So at that point, I'm now being accused of that. This property was referred to the city's lawyers, and it was transferred to Safe Housing. So now he has legal representation, the city has legal representation. So at that point, I am no longer going to converse with Mr. LaFosse coming into my office with the same old rolled set of plans and saying, I'm being told to bring this to you. That's already been rejected several times. So I would not converse with Mr. LaFosse about that. Since he has legal representation, the city has legal representation. His alarm gentleman came in, like I said, a few months ago with a stamp set from a fire protection engineer, which is another route you can go. And here they are with the stamp from the fire protection engineer. Here's again my red lines asking him specific questions. These again are not to scale quick little pencil drawings that don't show all the building features. There's your riser diagram that's required by code for the fire alarm panel. So, yep. So in good faith, I then gave his alarm contractor the permit to do the install, saying we will take care of the red line comments in the field when we get the building inspection, which will close your 40U issues. So we still haven't closed the 40U issues with a full inspection from the city. So the full inspection from the city is how we're going to address the storage of his vehicles. He's saying he puts them in the street, he puts them on his lot at night. I don't have an issue with that if that's what he does, but I have an issue with the fact that he's using his parcel that he owns down the street as a vehicle storage parcel when it's residential business zoned. It's not for vehicle storage, and he has no license for that. So is his business overflowing down the street? In my opinion, it is. If he maintains his business within 16-19 Naples, I have no issue with that. I don't know how he does that and puts vehicles out for sale because he needs that place in the front. He doesn't have permission to use Clear Channel, and Clear Channel's property is not licensed for that. I think I covered the comments, yeah. And here is, so there's an updated plan which addressed some of those comments that just got up there the other day. So this, again, stamped by the engineer.
Thank you, Deputy Chief. Is there anybody else that would like to speak on this matter? Hearing and seeing none, I will close this section of the hearing. I'm prepared to make a motion to revoke the Class 2 motor vehicle dealer license based upon what I heard from the troopers and from Deputy Cheever. It appears that the company is just not following standard procedures and violating the law. And also, I mean, if you can't trust a vehicle identification number and you have a dealer that is playing games with that, then I have a problem with that. And so I would vote to to revoke the Class 2 motor vehicle dealer license. Is there a second on that?
I would like to make a substitute motion, considering, and I live in the area, I know Mr. LaFosse, I will say that, and I understand what he's done. I live in the area, I do see what's going on. There was no sale of the vehicle, and they're still waiting for an appeal, and I personally would like to wait and hear what happens at the appeal. In the meantime, my substitute motion would be to renew it for a period of 6 months and have him come back, and in that time frame, the reason I'm saying give him time, that would give him time if he wants to sell his business, to maybe put the business up for sale. I know he has been there. He has been a good neighbor. I do live in the area. He's been a good neighbor. He's not the neatest person in the area, as far as the cars being up on Clear's property. But I also feel that he has been a good businessman in the city. Obviously, he's not doing the right thing from the testimony we've heard. But I would like to extend his license for a period of at least 6 months and see if we can get, the appeal should be done by that, and maybe give him a chance to sell the property, only to be able to work with him on that. But I think there needs to be big changes at that piece of property there. That would be a substitute motion I would make, just to give him time, get the appeal, and certainly if a loss of the appeal, that property should be sold, or the license would have to revert back to the city.
Well, I have kind of a question first between Mr. Lavosi and Deputy Chief Cheever, and it's just a general question, and I hate to put an end to anything. I think things can be worked out. And if I ask, is there an end game that things can be worked out from both parties, where he can do everything that's supposed to in code?
I'm doing it now.
And if Deputy Chief Cheever feels that there is a possibility of having, all the inspectional services, everything in code, then, I'd like to hear from him if that's makes sense.
Well, as far as 16-19 Naples Road, he's begun to move in the right direction. He's been asked or audited from the city's attorneys. He's got several letters requiring us to do an inspection. He has not provided full access and unhindered access for us to go out and do that full inspection. So, fire alarm permit, I think that's kind of like moving the vehicles off the lot next door, well, so he can get his compliance certificate and then he puts them back. So the fire alarm permit is one step of many steps he should have already taken. It's been 2 years. Now that said, to continue to run his auto body shop there, you put the Class 2 license aside, he needs to get that fire alarm system cleaned up. He needs to get that. He needs to get the tenant out of the basement. There's not supposed to be a tenant in the basement. He's supposed to be that. That's supposed to be his business. That's not a licensed business. This is where, when Juan's Auto Body, he had the Fraud Bureau show up because it was vehicles being repaired and putting in for insurance claims that brought the Fraud Bureau down there under Juan's Auto Body. There is no such thing as Juan's Auto Body. It's an unlicensed. So he's saying he's got a tenant in the basement. I'd like to hear who the tenant is and what's going on, because he's not supposed to have that. The parcel down the street, again, it's full of vehicles. It's not licensed for that. So he needs to speak, I think, as to how he plans to resolve these issues. This body also gave him a letter, I think it was March of 2017, telling him to conform with the order to correct, which is basically install the fire alarm system in your building and stop using the Clear Channel property and vacate the other property down the street. So you've also instructed him to do these things, and he hasn't done it, and it's been almost 2 years. So I think it's Mr. Fossey, it's in his court to
Yeah.
discuss.
So it appears as there's a list of stuff that Deputy Chief Cheever has, and he is, it's his responsibility to make sure everything is up to their code, to the city's code, and he's in that position, and what he says that sort of goes, and assuming he's following, proper procedure, which it sounds like he does and is. So do you feel you can abide by those, the list of what he just specified?
I am, but 1619 Naples Road, 19 Naples Road is my lot, and 16 Naples Road is the building. And that's where I have both licenses out of, 1619 Naples Road. And that's, I have a license from the city for that. I don't know why I have to take the cars out of there when I have a license for that. And as far as Juan's downstairs, he does no painting. He's been there, he's licensed with the state. He's got a certificate with the city of Revere. He's got all the permits he needs. He doesn't do painting down there. I do all the painting upstairs. He does mechanic work down there. He's been there for, I don't know, probably 7, 8, 10 years maybe. And it's, I don't understand, what the situation with that is. You just come in there,
Well, I think that's why I'm a little confused here. This is, of course, I don't know about cars or anything, but what is the permit that you had to get from the city of Revere through the city council for that piece of land? What is the permit that you had to apply for through the city council years ago?
that's my dealer's license is at 19 Naples Road.
The piece of land that you
Next
have
to the
we're
house.
talking about?
Next to the house, that's 19 Naples Road. That's where my dealer's license is.
Okay.
That's 19 Naples Road.
That's
16,
19 Naples Road?
Yes.
Yes, maybe you can clarify it for me, counsel, or,
I don't know a whole lot about salvage titles, but I know a
I
little
don't
bit about
either.
zoning. He was at the Revere City Council for a special permit to maintain and continue a pre-existing non-conforming auto body shop that had been in existence and was not then conforming to the current zoning, and he obtained that.
he did obtain that?
He did, yeah.
So then did that allow him to use that lot? That's the thing that I'm getting. I think he, with that permit, allowed him to use that lot. Am I correct?
If I may, again.
Yes.
From what I understand, he has a pre-existing non-conforming auto body shop at 16 Naples Road with his storage lot on 19. So he's permitted to use
To use the
that.
both lots, okay.
Correct.
That was my question, because I'm getting a little confused
But
here.
I have to add something, though.
Sure.
During my visit to his property, when he had Juan's Auto Body running in the basement, at first he wouldn't let me in. Then I got him to let me in, and there was multiple vehicles at different stages of auto body repair, and there is a second spray booth in the basement. So if Juan's doing mechanical repair, I don't know why there would be vehicles in different stages of auto body repair and why you would need a spray booth in the basement.
Spray boot's not used in the basement. I've been there since I've been there.
So why is it still there then?
It's just there. It's never took it down.
And it's never been used. All right. So then the two lots, we're talking the two lots now. So legally, you can use those two lots? It's illegal to use the clear, from what I understand.
That's all I do. It's during the day. I back the cars off the
But
street.
I'm trying to work with you here. That's not your property, and you're not licensed for that
Sir, can you
property.
speak into the microphone, please?
It's not, you're not licensed for that
Right.
property. I'm just trying to get you
No,
corralled
I
where you
understand.
belong.
I just need some time to get cleaned up. I'm in a bad situation right now, and I just get cleaned up, and I will, get everything out of there, but I just need a little time.
I know, but again, I'm trying to work with you, and you're saying, well, I'm really not going to do it right now.
No, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it.
Yeah, well, I don't think you really need time. If I can work with you, you should not put your cars there
Okay.
and make everybody happy. You have two lots.
Okay.
You can use those two lots.
Okay.
That's not your property, and I think that the fire inspector should start finding clear water because those cars don't belong there. He doesn't have a license for, he has a license for a billboard, that's all, not to park used cars.
Okay.
Okay? Thank you.
Mr. LaFosse, my problem is not with the cars, the booths, or the people in the building, or it's really the tenor of the business. Moving VIN numbers from one vehicle to another.
I
I
did
mean, the
not-
public needs to be protected when they need to know when they buy a car that that's what they're buying.
I did not move the vehicle's numbers. I've been there for 32 years. That's the stupidest thing anyone could ever do. I did not move the numbers from the car. If you want to come, I have both cars still. You can see the numbers that are on the car.
Well, I mean, I understand we can't get into the weeds here because the whole thing is under
Right.
appeal, and it
It's
is a
understood.
criminal
Well,
matter.
I mean, it's,
However, there are certain facts that are out there in public, and the facts don't look that good from where I'm sitting.
well, I bought the car out of Utah, okay? The number on the pillar, the load stick on the pillar was not there. All right? It wasn't there. All right,
Personally, I think we should focus on, you know, the actual, you know, the violations that Deputy Chief Cheever has brought up and how you're not conforming to.
And I'm working on that.
Okay.
I got the fire alarm in. It's just got to be inspected.
So based on that, because right now, there's so many things up in the air, and you have the legal matter, criminal matter, and that's still being worked, and it's important, but from my perspective, the more important part is, can you and will you get this place up to code? And even though you don't agree with everything he has specified.
Yes, I will.
He's still in charge. Sometimes you gotta bend over and say, that's the way it goes. So, he's got a bullet list. It seems like he's very organized. And if you're not happy with what he's in, then maybe you take your business elsewhere. But that's the rule, that's the codes. You need to follow them.
Okay.
And that's where I stand on this. So, that said, right now, you're not in code. There's some things that are still open. Doesn't mean you won't be, but the proof will be in the pudding when you come back. And Deputy Chief Cheevers comes back, Cheever, when he next time you come here, and then based on that, I can make a better you know, evaluation, and then eventually a decision on which direction I'm going to go.
All right, appreciate that.
See, I think, I have a motion on the floor, and I agree with both my colleagues. I disagree with Commissioner LaCroix on the point that, will you do it? I think the board's telling you you have to do it. If you don't do it, your license is going to be gone.
Okay.
You're not going to have a license. It's really not up to you. You have a license. It states what you can and can't do,
Okay.
and you have to go by that license. So I have a motion on the floor to grant you 6 months to come back here. And if things have not gone correctly, and hopefully the appeal, we do get the appeal, that will have a lot to do with my decision on revocation of this license.
Okay.
So I have a motion on the floor to give you 6 months, and you know, starting now, you've got 2 pieces of property, that's all you own. You can't own the street, although you do own the house, I realize that. And I say to give you 6 months, come back here, and hopefully you've gotten everything completed, and the fire inspector is happy with what's going on, and of course, the 2 officers that are here will see how that criminal part turns out in the appeals court.
I appreciate it.
So I'm going to have that in the form of a motion.
Well, I'll make a little adjustment to that motion. I am okay with 6 months, but I don't want to wait 6 months and come back and have the same, well, I'm almost there, I'm getting there, blah, blah, blah.
Okay, Commissioner, that was not what I was saying.
No,
I'm
let me
sorry.
finish, let me
No,
finish, let me
if you
finish.
misunderstood me, I
Okay.
didn't mean that.
Okay.
I said, starting today, he will use his 2 pieces of property. There was no lenience there. In 6 months is what I'm saying. He has time to get through his appeal, and he has time to sell the property if he wants, because comes 6 months, he should have, starting today, he's got to be in order with his property.
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I'd like to get an update prior to 6 months in front of the board. If Deputy Chief Cheever can come here as well to make sure you're on track, because, you know, come 6 months and there's still things that aren't on track, but they're close, we're not going to approve the license. So I'd like to get an update prior to that by you appearing in front of us. I would like to come in February meeting, a couple of months, get an update, things are progressing, but you'll have the 6 months to do it, because I think you could be very close and not have everything in order, and then you're not going to get the license, and then you'll never have it. Regarding selling the property, I'm not sure where that's coming from.
I'm just giving him an
Yeah.
option, rather than close him down today and take his license. That's
Yeah.
an option for him, because he knows in 6 months, and unless he loses his appeal, but in 6 months, should he have
Yeah.
not made a drastic change there, that he's
Sure.
coming up here, as far as I'm concerned, the reason of coming back is to find out if this license should be revoked. And hopefully, we have the court's appeal finished by then, and Mr. LaFosse has done everything he's supposed to do. Obviously, in the meantime, if he has more violations, we can always call him in and revoke the license then. But I think to just shut him down and not give him a chance to put this property up for sale, because right now it doesn't look like he's doing the right thing. So give him the option of selling it, because if the right thing isn't done, there'll be no license. Okay? That's all I'm saying, Commissioner.
Okay.
Just so I'm clear, the motion that's on the floor is to grant Mr. LaFosse his Class 2 motor vehicle dealer's license for a period of 6 months. And at the end of that 6-month period, we'll review the performance of Mr. LaFosse regarding the issues that have been brought up by Deputy Cheever and the state police. Is that
And that's
what we're-
correct, and I also would like what the results are of the appeal at that time also, to hear what the court had to say.
Okay, well, that is a motion. Is there a second on that?
Well, I'd actually like to make a counter motion, and I'd like to have him come back, and I thought it through last minute or so, in 3 months, not 6 months. 6 months is a long time. 3 months, you should be able to get your act together, get in communication with the fire department, and get a lot of these things going. And then at that point, if things are getting very close, then we have another 3 months to play with. So, but if you're so far off, then a new motion might be undertaken. So I'd like to change that motion from 6 months to 3 months for a review, with the goal of having everything done in 6 months. So you still have the 6 month, but the progress has to be there in 3 months. Because we just can't, I don't think we can come here in just 6
But
months.
I think the progress should be done today,
How do we know
not in
that?
3
How
months.
do we know?
He
Who's
can
gonna-
stop doing certain things he's doing.
So who's gonna come and communicate that to us? Are they gonna pop in every couple of months? I don't know.
I'm just the reason I was giving him 6 months, I don't know, maybe I'm not making it clear enough. The reason I'm giving him 6 months is because obviously you have serious problems. We've heard it. I want to hear from the court, and also give you time to whether you're thinking of selling the property. I don't want to take the property today away from you. That's all I'm saying. So I'm saying you have 6 months to do what you have to do. You don't have 6 months to put in a fire alarm. All right, and you don't have 6 months to clean up. I'm saying that should start today. You go buy your license, you have 2 lots. I'm saying 6 months to decide, to wait for your appeal, and 6 months to maybe you want to sell the property if it looks like it's going to be revoked.
So then would it make sense for us to give you an interim status report in 90 days? Happy to do
I
it.
think that's
Basically,
what Commissioner
would-
wants.
That's basically what I'm asking.
Right.
Happy to do it.
So the substitute motion would be a 6-month extension of your Class 2 motor vehicle dealer's license with a 90-day review period, status report in 90 days. So what I guess we're asking is, in March, that you would come in and we would discuss where we are on the issues that are pending and what you've done to improve the property or deal with the issues that are on the table. Does that make sense to you? Is that what the motion,
That's my motion, if that's,
and that's the motion that's on the table? Is there a second on that?
I'll second the motion.
The motion is approved. Okay, so just so you're clear, your Class 2 motor vehicle license for Brothers Auto Body has been extended for 6 months. In the 90-day period, we'd like you to come back and tell us where you are on these issues that have been discussed here today.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
And thank you to,
Thank you, Trooper.
Thank you
We
for your
appreciate your time. Deputy Cheever, thank you very much. The next items on the agenda are communications, a notification from the Massachusetts Alcohol Beverage Control Commission approving change of manager from Wooji Inc., DBA Peter Woos. Item number 2, a notification from the ABCC approving transfer of a malt wine package store license to SC North Shore Inc., DBA 711 27471C. The next items would be license renewals. We have about 3 pages of license renewals. You can go on the website and see exactly which businesses are being renewed. They're all alcohol package stores, malt and wine package stores. There is also a malt and wine restaurant. The one proviso for a malt and wine restaurant is GA Restaurant 2, Inc., DBA Santorini Restaurant. There is a failed fire inspection, so that license will be renewed for 30 days, which will allow Santorini to get that inspection rectified. The all alcohol club licenses are also listed. All alcohol general on premises license, entertainment licenses, common victualers license, the licenses for automatic amusement devices, the licenses for pool table, and the all alcohol restaurant licenses are also renewed. Again, with one exception, White Label LLC, DBA Easy Pie, 649 Squire Road. They also had a failed fire inspection. And so that license will only be renewed for 30 days, which will give them an opportunity to correct the deficiencies and come in at our next scheduled hearing, and we will deal with the remainder of the year at that time. Also, all alcohol in-holder license, hotel licenses, parking lot licenses, Class 2 motor vehicle dealer licenses, with the exception of Kenneth G. LaFosse, DBA Brothers Auto Body, which has a 6-month extension with a 90-day status report proviso on that license. Class 1 motor vehicle dealers, gold, silver, precious metal jewelry sales, also secondhand dealers, pawnbroker, flea market, and lodging house. And if you'd like to see all of those businesses, they'll be available on the city's website. And that concludes today's. Yes, we'll make a motion to approve all of those licenses.
I'll second the motion.
The motion to approve those licenses is granted. I would also like to take a moment to find, when is our next meeting? January 16th.
one question, Commissioner. On this lodging house on Shirley Ave, is that, they still applied for that lodging license? And that's the one they renewed?
Very
Okay.
good. It's renewed.
But I thought they made them apartments. Is that what it says?
Well, I think that they want to maintain the ability to keep it a lodging house.
Okay. I thought he had changed the usage.
And that concludes our meeting today. Is there, I'll make a motion to adjourn till January 16th.
Well, I'd like to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. And next meeting, did you?
January 16th.
January 16th. Okay, motion to adjourn?
Second the motion.
The motion to adjourn is approved. Happy holidays, everyone.